This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Let's face it, life after service ain't always easy. Far too many veterans continue to struggle in silence. But you don't have to fight this battle alone, because we are here to help. This ain't no group therapy. It's the after party to the battle. Full speed ahead, after battle. Real talk, real stories, no BS. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Full Speed Ahead After Battle here on the Military Broadcast Radio, the voice for veterans. Make sure you go and like, subscribe, do all those different things. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, all the different places that we're on every single week. Make sure we get those subscriptions and the sharing in, that we get those messages out there to help our fellow veterans. So what's been going on over this last week? I mean, we took a break last week because it was Thanksgiving. So hopefully everybody's full and fed. I know there's no leftovers left in our house already because we finished those off this past weekend. But it was a good day, spending a day with the family, the in-laws, things like that, sharing food. Cowboys won twice in 1 week, so we got to go for Cowboys. I mean, they beat the Eagles and then they beat the Chiefs, both Super Bowl contenders last year. So is that a sign of things to come this year? I don't know. We got some tough teams coming up, playing the Lions, I believe, this week. Lions are on a roll, so we'll see how they do. Other things going on in the world. It's December 1st already. This year has flown by so fast with everything going on in the world today. It just seems like yesterday we were just getting started in the year. And here we are rounding out 2025, coming into 2026. But for this next month, I tell you what, we have a whole slew of shows coming up, a lot of great things going on. Let me pull up my notes. Here we go. So a couple of big announcements that we got going on. First, let me get into my big announcement. For those of you just now tuning in, this show we here on Military Broadcast Radio, we talk about veteran transition from their service to the civilian world. It's one of the leading causes in veteran suicide. So that's what we talk about here, is that transition. We also talk about veteran suicide and mental health awareness because they all play together, right? And so on this show, we bring in different guests, whether they're professionals, people that are helping veterans, veterans themselves to share their stories, whatever we can do to get those stories out there to help share our veterans. That's why I ask y'all each and every week, make sure you like and share. That way these messages get out there, because it may be today's show that saves a veteran's life. All right. And we all know the statistics. We say it every week. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. That number is a little bit better these days. However, it's still way too high. And when you start factoring in the civilians, first responders, that number jumps up to almost 30 suicides a day. That means in almost the hour of this show, more than likely, one veteran will commit suicide in the course of this show. And that's what we're here doing. Speaking of veterans, my father, if y'all have been following along on the show, he started undergoing his chemo treatment. He's got the stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So he finally got the tube in. He's been taking some medication. He was doing fine there for a week or so. Medication finally caught up to him and does what it does to everybody. It makes you sick to your stomach and everywhere else. So he's been kind of struggling with that. However, things are going good with him. So everybody that's been sending in those comments, those thoughts and prayers, I appreciate it. He's doing well. So other big announcements going on. All right. For those of you know that I am not only the host of this show, but I'm also a officer at the local VFW here just outside of Hazlet, Texas. We had our recent Hazlet Veterans Day event. That was a great success. We had a great time out there. But also District 21, the Veteran Suicide Awareness Chair for that committee. I am hosting an event that we just announced at our district meeting a couple of weeks ago, right before we took off last week. We're having the Battle Buddy Throwdown, April 18th, 2026. And for you Marines out there that are listening, no, this is not where you pick your friends up and throw them down on the ground and wrestle around, right? This is a cornhole tournament to raise awareness for veteran suicide. Now, this is kind of a two-part event, okay? We're raising awareness for veteran suicide in the area, all right? It's a district-sponsored event. However, this is also going to show that the VFW is not just that smoky bar that your grandpa used to go to, sit there and drink and smoke cigarettes and tell war stories. Yes, that still goes on, and that's perfectly fine. But today's VFW, we are about helping the newer generation of veterans, right? We are getting out there in the community. We're talking about the mental health. We're talking about the suicide awareness. We're talking about all the things that our veterans today are facing. We haven't forgot the older veterans. They're still in there. They're still helping us out with everything. But the VFW is transitioning to a new way of things, right? We're getting in the community, helping our veterans in the community, whether it's VA benefits, medical benefits, whatever kind of benefits that comes along that you need, they're there to help you out with that. So again, Battle Buddy Throwdown, April 18th. We are looking for sponsors for the event. If you or your company or somebody wants to know or even pitch in a couple of dollars, that's great. All the proceeds are going to go to the Irreverent Warriors. And if you don't know, they're an offshoot of Grunt Style. Yes, the clothing apparel. The Irreverent Warriors here in Fort Worth, their main purpose is to raise funds and awareness, just like I'm doing, for the veteran suicide awareness. And so that's what's going on with that. Not only that, but recently, a couple of months ago, I was invited out to the feature screening of the American Sons documentary. This is about a Marine group that served in Iraq or Afghanistan. I want to say Afghanistan. They come back. One veteran didn't make it. One veteran committed suicide. One struggled with drug addiction. I got to talk to a couple of those guys at that event. If you're not aware, here in Texas, I know this show is nationwide and is probably worldwide as well. But here in Texas, that's where my focus is. And so we have a Texas VFW Suicide Awareness Facebook group page. If you're not a part of that, anybody can be a part of it. What the goal of that group is to put out that information, whether it's VA crisis line or it's support groups or a place to reach out, anything like that. That is a group for there. We have professionals in there. We have VA advocates. We have VSOs. We've got all kinds of other people. Myself is in there. And if I haven't mentioned this already, I did just receive my master diploma from Light University in mental health coaching, focusing on first responders and military. I am not a professional. However, I am here to help those veterans out that need a voice to talk to. So within that group, the VFW Suicide Awareness Group, I've been working with the producer, Oliver Garnier, of the American Sons documentary. And we are going to do a one-of-a-kind virtual screening of the American Sons within that Facebook group. You're going to be able to watch it at your leisure from December 18th through December 22nd. And then here live on December 22nd, we're going to have a live Q&A with the producer and the Marines from that documentary. So make sure that you go like that page, you go join that page, because only the people in that group are going to be able to register and get the link to watch that video. And then you're going to be able to come in. You can send your questions in ahead of time, or you can show up live here on Full Speed Ahead After Battle, and you can ask your questions live to the producers, the Marines, whoever decides to show up for that. That is a very hard-hitting documentary, I will tell you. If you haven't seen it yet, they're working on a lot of awards. January 8th, I believe, it's airing live on PBS for the first time, so make sure you tune into that. So like I said, a lot of things going on for me, for military broadcast radio. We're in the holiday season. We just gave out our backpacks to some veterans, a lot of much needed items there. We did the wreaths across America. We donated a lot of funds to be able to get the wreaths for those tombstones for our veterans that are lost. So right now it's the holiday season. Thanksgiving's over, Christmas is coming up. But for those veterans out there that think that you're alone, you're not. Just like we said during Thanksgiving, make sure you reach out. The VFW, the American Legion, there's so many different veteran groups out there right now that will be happy to invite you in for a warm meal, a place to hang out, people to talk to, and like I said, a lot of different help. So if you think you're alone for the holidays, you're not. There's plenty of help out there. But today, I want to get to my guest. Today's guest is Lisa Regina. If you kind of remember that name, it's probably because you've seen her in a plethora of films and videos and all kinds of stuff. She is an actress, producer. She's got credits in The Sopranos, The Bakery, Tournament, national commercial campaigns from Delta Sky Miles and Macy's. She is a trauma survivor, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but also founder, president of A Right to Heal. She is also working on heroic episodes with Mr. Montaigne. And if you don't know him, Joe Montaigne from Criminal Minds, they're working to bring films to highlight our veterans and what they go through. We'll let her talk a little bit more about that. But today, we're going to go ahead and get into that with our interview of the week with Lisa Regina.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome to Full Speed Ahead. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. Absolutely. I was excited to see that email from our, heads to be of MBR, and they said, "Look, Lisa wants to talk to some people. She's got a lot of good things going on, and definitely, I think a lot of what you do could help with the transition of our veterans, which is what this show is all about." And so, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm thinking we're going to have a good talk tonight.
Thank you.
So why don't you take a
I was just going to say, I know civilians always say thank you for your service, but I truly am grateful for your service, and it's so nice to meet you and have the opportunity to share what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you? I know you're not a veteran yourself, right? But why don't you kind of introduce yourself? I know I gave a little bit of intro about you, but tell us who Lisa is.
Yeah, well, I've been in the film industry close to 40 years. Pursued my acting in New York City, and like most that are in the film industry, we wind up writing and producing oftentimes while we're pursuing our acting. I was teaching big workshops, acting workshops in New York City, and my life changed trajectory completely on April 2nd, 2005, when I was assaulted 2 months away from my wedding by my then fiance. My domestic violence assault case was highly publicized because of who I was engaged to. And of course, the press and the media really wanted to sensationalize that. They really had no interest in focusing on domestic violence or PTS or any of the issues surrounding that topic. So I was at a crossroads, and I knew that I could use my my arts, my writing, acting, and filmmaking as a way to not only process and heal for myself, but to help others. So that's what really put me on the path of my advocacy work. And prior to that, I never expected to be the poster child for domestic violence, and never expected my life to take that turn, but it did. And they wanted me to do something. When I say they, some people in the industry, when it comes to agents and managers and lawyers, they have an idea that, yeah, let's do a reality show. That was not my thing. That went against my core values and my grain. And I knew that it would exploit what happened. So that's why advocacy was so important to me. It really stay true to myself, to help myself heal, and in turn, help others. And in 2012, I was teaching these big acting workshops, and I got a call from a veteran through a dear friend, Barry Morgenstein, who's a photographer in New York City. Barry did my headshots. Barry does a lot of celebrity headshots. He's really amazing. And he called me, and he has a large network of veteran friends. I mean, he's such a patriot. He does a lot of veterans headshots. So he says, I have a veteran who wants to take your acting workshop. I'm going to have her call you. And he said, just so you know, she lost her sight and her leg while serving in Bosnia in the Army. And I was like, okay, well, it does matter. I want her to, feel comfortable and come into the workshop. And retired Army Captain Leslie Nicole Smith and her service dog Isaac, they came all the way up from Fredericksburg, Virginia, on the train to Penn Station, then to the workshop. And the reason why I include all that is most people who don't have any physical challenges, they're afraid to take the train in New York City and, navigate the craziness of a big city like that. But she made it to the workshop, and she was amazing. She was very comfortable on camera. She really blew us away, quite honestly. And I said, wow, I would love to cast you in one of my short films. And I had been writing something about a veteran who returns home, and it just worked out beautifully. And she was thrilled. Leslie was, definitely into working with us. And she came back up when we were shooting on the train again from Fredericksburg. We had a volunteer firefighter take her out to Queens, New York, where we were filming. And she spent about 14 and a half hours on set with us. And I was doting over her, because I was like, wow, she traveled so far. She grabbed my hand. She said, Lisa, you don't have to pamper me. I was in the Army. I'm okay. Like I'm doing good,
Right.
So after this long day of filming, 14 and a half hours, I couldn't wait to honor her, thank her, and, had a hotel room for her and dinner, and, just wanted to thank her properly. And she was so excited, Josh. Like I can still see her eyes, welling up, and her excitement, that big, beautiful smile. And she said, Lisa, I'm going to go home tonight because I'm so overwhelmed with this feeling. I haven't felt this camaraderie since I served. And she said,
Right.
I loved being on your set and your film team and being part of this whole collaborative, filmmaking effort. And I was like, are you sure? You're going to get home probably like 4 a.m. And she's like, no, I'm positive. I have to, just process this experience. And she gave me a big hug. And of course, it was very emotional for me because I was trying to understand what she was feeling. And when she kept saying that camaraderie, it all made sense, and that night I couldn't sleep because I was excited for her. And unbeknownst to me, it had this great healing impact on her that I never even really thought of. And so I was thinking, wow, I wonder if other veterans would feel this way. So the next few films that I did, short films, low budget, we wear all hats, we write, direct, produce, whatever you get done when you have a passion, And the next few films, I invited veterans on as cast, crew. Some were consulting me in the writing because, as you said, I'm a civilian. I wanted to make sure I got things right.
Right.
Because I know I've heard a lot of my veteran friends are like, oh, that would never happen in service. That would never, that's BS. So they, of course, all the veterans, they had the same response. I had Vietnam veterans. I had, guys that just returned from Afghanistan, and everyone had the same response. Being on that set, being on a film set as part of production crew, they really love the camaraderie, the mission, the teamwork. And for me, on the other side of that, as a director, I was able to really focus on the monitor and direct my actors and not worry about, whether craft services is set up and if there's safety on set and who's parking where and what's, my Marine gunny, he had my back. He had an ice truck pull in. It was 98 degrees. So we're like throwing ice out at everyone. It was just a great time. And most importantly, the healing. And I had this big, brawly Vietnam veteran come up to me crying. And he said, "Can I give you a hug?" I said, "Absolutely." And he gave me a big bear hug. And he said, "We felt forgotten. Thank you so much." And these experiences with Captain Smith on that set, like, it still makes me like, oh, it gets to me. And I'm like, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know that it's helping veterans. I know that it makes total sense. The military mindset translates so well to the film set. And, it's an amazing film crew to have. And not only that, just through the 12 and a half years of interviewing military men and women, all branches of service, all wars, and their families, and learning what are the challenges, transitioning home. So I really feel that passion for this project because of those personal experiences that I've had. It also really was the bonding moment between me and Leslie, Captain Smith, because we shared about our individual stories of trauma, mine with my domestic violence assault. I had a concussion, fractured pelvis, contusions, and in no way trying to compare that to a soldier who has survived war, but just the fact that it was the very thing that bonded our friendship, and it allowed a civilian like myself to really understand a veteran and to become closer and develop this friendship that has since 2012 been, a really strong friendship that I'm really grateful for.
That's awesome. That is so good to hear. First off, thank you for, sharing your story of your trauma. It's what I tell a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are like you. I don't want to tell my story. I don't want it to get out there, the stigma, all that. But once you start feeling comfortable with yourself and telling your story and sharing that, that's when other people can realize, okay, we are talking about this. It's okay. And, you moved on from it. They can see that they can move on from it. Unfortunately, it happens far too often in the military, that kind of trauma. And so, working with those veterans again, that camaraderie, I can understand where you're coming from with that, because that's what a lot of veterans seek when they come out of the service, right? That's why they join the VFWs, the American Legions. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is they can't find that same friendship, that same camaraderie that they had in the service. And I can understand how heartfelt they felt with you, giving them that opportunity. So, that's why they're grateful, because somebody saw them for what they are and who they are, and used them and their strengths and everything. And so, thank you for allowing that opportunity for our veterans. So
Of course, I'm grateful for that experience and those experiences, because
right.
that's what keeps me on the right path. That's what keeps me. I'm like, okay, God has a purpose for us all. That's what I believe.
Mhm.
And, that's my purpose. And that's why
Right.
I survived my assault, because I'm supposed to be on
Yeah.
this journey and this path. And it's just
Right.
amazing. I just couldn't ignore that and not do something with that, because it's helping so many people. And not only that, the domestic violence survivors, the women that I've been in contact with through my nonprofit, A Right to Heal, using
Mhm.
healing as a way to get that pain out, pour that pain out.
Yeah.
And I had those women on set along with the veterans, and it was a moment in the short film where the true women who had survived sexual assault, domestic violence assault, they took a piece of tape off their mouth and they spoke for the first
Mhm.
time the date of their assault. So it was very healing for them, but also I knew it would be a raw moment. So we had advocates on set for them, but the veterans that stood up behind them, they drove in on their motorcycles, rode in on their motorcycles, the warrior watch riders. And then
Mhm.
they got off in silence and just stood there like a shield behind these women, like supporting them, because they knew how difficult this moment was. And again, trauma is trauma. That bond really happened. It was such an emotional day on set, and it was powerful. And I have a tough cinematographer. Till Newman is, we always tease each other, because he's German. He's very stoic sometimes, and I'm
Mhm.
Italian, and I'm very emotional. So we tease each other constantly, about that. And I looked over at the monitor, and he had the headset on. He was looking at the monitor, and he was crying. And I'm like,
Wow.
we're both crying. And I'm like, this is really amazing. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, Lisa, we need to get the shot. Get the shot. Stop crying. Let's get the film done,
Right. Yeah,
But
we got work to do.
yeah. But
Yeah.
that
So
that type of healing is just, what
mhm.
I wanted to really share with you, so you understand like
Yeah.
why I do what I do.
Absolutely. I completely understand it. So let's get into that a little bit more. A right to heal. That's, it's WRITE for people listening.
Yes.
A right to heal. So what is that?
Well, after my assault, as I said, I knew the reality show was not my thing. So I became an advocate. And as that TV producer said to me, there's no money in education. And I was like, yeah, but I can have my soul intact and feel good about what I'm doing. And I went on and started A Right to Heal, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And I
Mhm.
used writing to help myself heal and to shape my story into a couple different spoken word monologues. And I would go out and present at YWCA events across the country, universities, high schools. So I became a keynote speaker for the YWCA for many years, and just sharing my story as a way to hopefully inspire and help others, and sharing the writing program that I have, which is a very freestyle writing. It just allows you to really take a pen or to paper and really pour out your pain. Um, and then some of those stories from the women that they would come to my New York City apartment, we started a writing circle. And that was really the birth of my nonprofit, A Right to Heal, using that writing circle as a way to facilitate writing groups and help others to heal that were struggling with domestic violence. And as I said, that advocacy work really grew when I met retired Army Captain Leslie Nicole Smith and her service dog Isaac. Then that's when I really broadened the scope to include veterans, because that experience, as I
Yeah.
shared, was really powerful and made me realize this is something that can help. Um, yep, that's Leslie right there. So beautiful. She's a Gary Sinise ambassador for the Gary Sinise
Ah,
Foundation.
okay.
She was
Yeah.
actually, I believe, one of Gary's first ambassadors. She still is,
Okay.
and she's still a dear friend to me. And just spoke to her the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, a right to heal, it's a lot of veterans take to it, whether it's a writing, whether it's poems, music, or writing songs, or whatever. It's for us, it's kind of that thing. We can sit here and tell our story day in and day out, verbally, but a lot of times we don't start seeing that story until we start writing it on the paper. And that's when things become more real to us, right? And so I understand why a lot of people get into the writing and things like that. And so I think this is definitely a great way to it. And then, with your flip side, maybe somebody wants to write a movie or a script or something, and
Sure.
just kind of take it. And so yeah, I right to heal, I think that's definitely good. And for the people who are watching, you can go to arighttoheal.com. I've got it here in the comments. You got all the information up there, and like she said, there's different stories on there, different people. But Lisa, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk about kind of the flip side of a right to heal, I think. But let's talk about our heroic episodes when we get back.
I would love to.
Messages.
Okay.
Too big, wanting to grow up way too quick, searching for spotlights since I was 6. Hello, my name is Dream Too Big. Hello, my name is way too loud. My voice can cut right through a crowd. Got made fun of for it, but who's laughing now? Hello, my name is way too loud. I know I've had my moments and I've had heartaches, but God is making miracles out of my mistakes. You can say I won't make it, and I can tell you that I don't really care. 'Cause hello, my name is going somewhere. Far. Lost all my words in a mason jar. Locked eyes with a stranger at the end of the bar. Hello, my name is You'll Go Far. Well, hello, my name is One More Try. I put too much stock in bad advice, 'cause anything worth leaving is worth loving twice. You're never gonna leave the ground. You can tell us all about it when you come back around. Hello, my name is Get Knocked Down. Hello, my name is Stand Back Up. Keep moving even when it gets rough. I've given so much, but I ain't giving up. Hello, my name is Stand Back Up. I know I've had my moments and I've had heartaches. God is making miracles out
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Full Speed Ahead After Battle. That video was Lauren Rose Thayer with Hello, My Name Is. If you're just now tuning in, tonight's guest on Full Speed Ahead is Lisa Regina. She's an actress, producer, writer, all kinds of different things, and trauma survivor. She's dabbling in everything. That's what we do these days, right? To keep ourselves busy. So
Yes, well, the performance arts are amazing for healing.
Yes, it is. Gives you a way to just let everything out. You know, whether you want to act mean or you want to act sad, or you can act whatever way you want to do it, and I think that's a good way to just kind of let it all out. So, you know, I'll tell you a quick story about my acting. This is about the only acting I ever did. When I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, I wanted to find a way to kind of work out and be athletic while doing something fun. And so I found a local, what they call what do they call it? It's a wrestling group, wrestling school, right? Not the not the collegiate type wrestling. Sorry, not the Roman Greco style stepping, but like the WWE style wrestling.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, I kind of got into that because, believe it or not, that is a lot of exercise and it's a lot of work. And it's not just about that, but you have to build a character. You got to tell storylines and things like that. And so that gave me an outlet of, you know, I was always the bad guy because that's what came naturally. And I was good at it. And so, yeah, I did that for a couple of years down there, and my acting career never took off after that. So
that's okay. It sounds like it was a great way to channel emotions, right?
Mm-hmm. It was a good one. So when we left off, we were talking about A Right to Heal, but let's talk about your heroic episode, starting to get into the video aspect of the story. Why don't we talk about that?
Sure. So through the 12 and a half years of conducting these interviews with military men and women, all branches of service, all wars, and their families, and first responders and police officers, those who protect and serve us, I started to really learn about so many amazing stories. And what I didn't know as a civilian, that there are so many veterans that once they do return home, they continue to serve their community, and they don't do it for the recognition or the adoration. They do it because that's part of who they are. And I was really taken by a lot of these stories, and I was trying to figure out how could I put these stories together in a way where I can thread together the inspiring stories, the challenges, you know, everything. And that's how I created heroic episodes, because I realized that the only platform that could really hold so many vast number of veteran stories would be a TV series, an episodic. So I originally wrote a screenplay that was titled Shooters Now, and it's the same premise as heroic episodes. And I adapted all those interviews and continue to do so because there's so many veterans that contact me with their stories. And this is one way where we can honor all these true stories, employ veterans as we're filming every episode, employ veterans just as I did in my short films as consultants, as actors, to help in the writing process, because again, we want it to be authentic. It's not a documentary. It is an episodic. So similar to Blue Bloods, similar to The Wire. I always compare the grit of this to The Wire, the reality of it, because the HBO series The Wire, in my opinion, was, you know, and I'm sure many people will agree, it was an amazing series. And that realistic tone to me is what heroic episodes really needed to show the real world. But it's about a veteran who returns home, and he saves an urban teen from gang life, from violence at home, violence in Afghanistan, comes home to violence in the city of Philadelphia. And they wind up saving each other. They really do. The veteran becomes a mentor to this urban teen, but he and his military brothers take a whole basketball league of teens, at-risk teens, under their wing, and it becomes an amazing healing experience for the entire community, and much needed, because I don't know how you feel when you watch the news, but you feel like shutting it off, right?
Every single day, yes.
Yeah. But it's the reality of it. And I can't save the world, but what can I do to make those that serve us, let them know that they're not forgotten, let them know that there is employment. And being on a film set, a veteran not only has the opportunity to have employment, but to have that camaraderie that you spoke about, and to really have some fun. And who knows, maybe they make a career out of being working as part of our film crew. This website, although I'm proud of it, it took me a long time to build myself. I just had a new site built by Chris over at Lighthouse Endeavors, Vincent Rocco Vargas, his company.
Yes.
And I'm very, very excited about what Lighthouse Endeavors is doing with our new website. Because we can't wear all hats. We have to let people that specialize in that. But this series will thread in and weave in all these true stories, from interviews, from stories that are submitted to me. I always have someone every day offering to share their story. And again, the only platform that could really hold all the vast amount of stories would be an episodic. And the great thing, what excites me most about heroic episodes, is that it has the ability to transcend generations. With a series that has a massive audience of veterans and patriots and their families and first responders and people that really can relate to each other, plus civilians learning about their stories. I just think it has the opportunity to transcend generations and offer that employment and help our veterans transition home. I've heard a lot of crappy stories about the VA, which I really hate to hear, and I always say, I can't fix the VA if it's an antiquated governmental system. I can't fix that, but I could do this. And I really think this is positive, and it's something that can help many veterans and inspire them to share their amazing stories.
I think there needs to be more things like this out there, because just like our older veterans, we're just now telling those stories, right, about Vietnam, and World War II and One, and unfortunately, those guys are passing away these days. Because of World War II and things like that, they're getting old. And Vietnam, Agent Orange, and all of that, and so we need to start telling those stories now before it's too late. And getting that information out there, and hopefully, the more we talk about it, the more we put it into film like this and things like that. I'm hoping the government takes a look at it and realizes we need to do something, because, like you just said, I'm one of those people that I can't stand the VA. I've tried to go, and it didn't work out. And you sit there for 8 hours, and they said, "Well, you're a no-show." Well, okay.
Oh man,
I mean, just like I talked about in the beginning of my show, my dad's got stage 2 cancer, and he tried to get an appointment at the VA, scheduled it. Then he got a letter in the mail, but that it was canceled. So he called in. They said, "We don't know what happened. We'll have to schedule in another 3 months." Well, you're supposed to just sit there with cancer for 3 months while you're doing this? No,
that's awful.
The VA, I don't want to get started on the VA. that's
I know. We'll go down a rabbit hole there. I know. Well, I was just going to say, I'm praying for your father's continued healing, and
Thank you.
Yeah, that's just disgraceful. Someone
Mhm.
has, put their life on the line for us to come home and not be treated with,
Right.
top-notch medical care. They deserve that.
Right.
Every veteran does. And I'm sorry he has to deal with that, because it's hard
Yeah.
enough to keep positive and keep strong
Right.
while you're battling something like cancer, let alone deal with all
Yeah.
the bureaucratic bull. But
Right.
yeah, I believe heroic episodes it'll tell so many stories. It's more than a series. It's a cause. It's
Mhm.
more than a TV series. If you can imagine every episode providing, at the end of each episode, providing links to resources for mental health
Mhm.
support, for things that we need to be spotlighting, like veteran-owned
Yeah.
businesses. There's so many entrepreneur
Mhm.
veterans that I've
There
met
are.
that have their
There
own
are.
businesses. And I want to put these products, services that are veteran-owned businesses within the series, product
Okay.
placement, and really spotlight the VFWs that are doing great work
Mhm.
in their community, and the commanders, and
Yeah.
these heroes that are, we don't really know, and we don't really get to know unless we're in that community. So I think this series is it's much bigger than a TV series. It's a mission. It's a
Yeah.
cause. We're going to do it all with fundraising, just like
Okay.
Angel Studios. Angel
Mhm.
Studios knew that there was an audience, that there was a need, a niche for a certain type of content. Well, heroic episodes, we want to keep it independent. We want to produce it independent. Joe Montaigne is our executive producer, which
Right.
I'm just thrilled. What a great guy, down to earth, human,
Yeah.
real, patriotic, caring. Gary Sinise ambassador as
Mhm.
well.
Okay.
And my life came full circle when I met Joe, because he, of course, knew Leslie, Captain Smith, and just
Mhm.
loves her. And, of course, they're both friends with Gary Sinise. And it's just, that's when I go, oh my God, this is meant to happen this way.
Yeah.
All,
Absolutely.
all the dots are
I'm glad that it
connected.
came around like that, and that I watched that show that he's on for years. I love that show. I love Joe, the way he does, and
Yeah.
I think out of all the veteran organizations out there, Gary Sinise Foundation is probably one of the best of the veteran organizations out there. So,
He's incredible.
yeah,
He's incredible,
um,
everything that he does. And so that's why we want heroic episodes to really, be
mhm,
more than a series. And
yeah,
having Joe and his credibility is certainly going to help us once we launch our fundraiser. The plan is to film the first 6 episodes, the first season, 1 hour each
okay,
episode, for under $1
okay,
million, which is unheard of.
wow,
But
yeah,
we've pulled a lot of friends and family favors, to make
hmm,
this first season happen. Um,
yeah,
and I looked at the number of veterans within the state of New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, tri-state area.
hmm,
And then I looked at the
hmm,
demographics across our United States of America, and I
hmm,
said, wow, if I can communicate my passion, if I can communicate my experiences to veterans and their families, and let them know who I am and why I do this, then
right,
perhaps each and every one of those veterans at some point will hear about this. It will have a ripple effect. And if every single one of them donated just $1, we'd have enough to do the first season.
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely, I'll talk to the people here at MBR, and maybe we can work something out, and we can, do a collaboration to help raise funds, because, that's what military broadcast radio is. It's the people that, we want to get on here and tell stories, and we want to be able to share that information. So, maybe we'll work on that. But, I'd be happy
yeah,
to sit down and talk with you, not
I
for
would
my
love
own
to.
personal plug, but in Fort Worth, I'll tell you, in the VFW that I'm in, the district, right, we encompass 17 VFW posts across the DFW area, mostly Fort Worth, Tarrant County. We're
Wow.
our area is the third largest veteran area in the state of Texas, and so
Wow.
that makes us the third largest area for veteran suicide in the area, and so
Mm,
that's why working on the Veteran Suicide Awareness Committee that I'm on in this district is important to me because we have one of the largest areas in the state. We're right next to a base. So we work with a lot of veterans on that base. And our posts are always getting out in the community, doing 5Ks for veteran suicide awareness and stuff like that.
Yes.
So if you ever need some input in Fort Worth, we're happy to have you. So
yes, and I'd like to extend my help to your area and to the VFWs that you just spoke about, because I do still donate my time for the writing program that I share, and would love to at any time if I can help. You know, because I really believe I can only talk from when I felt like my life was over and that I didn't want to live anymore after my assault, because my case was highly publicized. My ex-fiance who assaulted me had money, had a PR person on his payroll, and had, you know, the power and the money and the leverage and the Hollywood kind of, you know, leverage. So it was painful to be beat up further in the press. And, you know, that's why writing is such a lifesaver for me, has been, because if it wasn't for that pad and pen, I don't think I would have been able to handle it. They released me from the hospital with drugs, you know, a bag of drugs, and they threw me in a cab behind the hospital. They didn't want anyone to see me because the paparazzi was, you know, looking for that money shot, the black eye shot. And the reason why I share this is because if it wasn't for friends and family intervening, supporting, coming to get me, rescue me from my 5th-story walk-up apartment in New York City, I would be dead, because the pills they gave me were highly addictive. I had no idea what I was doing because my pupils were the size of saucers and I was still in a state of shock. I was vomiting from the concussion, and I was reaching for something that I had no idea what it was. No idea. And I've never been a pill popper, but it seemed like the only thing I had, you know, to, and it, you know, if it wasn't for family stepping in and being able to rescue me, I wouldn't be here. Definitely not. So I share all that because the mental health part of the series is extremely important, which is why we partnered with 220 organization, nonprofit, and Dr. Pamela Arnell and her team of veteran coaches are doing amazing work. Just to share that with you, because she helped me immensely, because I still had some anxieties, you know, as a residual effect of my PTS and my diagnosis as agoraphobia, which is crazy because I'm a Leo and I've always been outgoing and I've always been into performance arts. And, you know, so for me to become that much of a recluse and alienate myself to a point where it was dangerous. And I believe when you're in that kind of state of mind, you need help. You need someone to pull you out of it. You can't, oftentimes you can't do it alone. And that doesn't mean you're weak, right? It means you're strong when you open up and go, okay, I need help, and help me, please. You know, but I just can't stress that enough, that part of the show is something we really want to make sure that we provide support for. So if there's any way if I can help what you're doing and the numbers that you're dealing with, I hate to hear that it's so high there. And Dr. Pamela Arnell, I know I could speak for her as well. She has a heart that is just as passionate or more. And she lost her husband, Jerome, who served in the Army. He was in the burn pits. So he died of cancer as a result. You know,
well, you know, I'm so sorry to hear about the trauma, but unfortunately, you know, that's what a lot of our veterans are facing, right? The VA pumps them full of pills, kicks them out the door, says, we'll see you in 6 months. And then they're left to fend for themselves. And it's too much. But, you know, we got a couple minutes left, and there's one more topic that I want to hit on just real quick, because I think this is, you know, an amazing opportunity for our veterans. But before we go, let's talk about your drone program real quick, and how you got started with that and how you're helping veterans coming out of the service with that.
Yeah, that's exciting. While I had veterans on my film set, the few films that I shared with you, those experiences, I had drones because we were using drones during the filming, and I'm a Part 107 pilot. And a lot of the veterans were attracted to these drones because some of them were sharing that, oh yeah, we use drones in the military and this is what we did. So it was something that I noticed they were really drawn to. And since we haven't raised our budget yet, we're not filming, and I can't employ veterans right at this immediate moment in heroic episodes, but of course plan to. I thought, what can I create right now? And the drone program made the most sense. So my nonprofit, A Right to Heal, it's one of our programs where we put veterans through their Part 107 training. It's an online course. We have veterans from the state of Florida, Tennessee, just all across the United States that are have been through the program. To date, I think we put 17 veterans through drone training. So we're small but mighty, and we are continuing to grow. And we're hoping, that I had a conversation with Gary Sinise about the drone training program. And he liked it, and he asked all the right questions. So we're going to continue to share our graduates with Gary and hope that at some point he will feel comfortable coming on, maybe as a sponsor. That's what we're hoping, because we really need to grow it much larger scale, because there's so many veterans, especially those who are disabled veterans, that can fly a drone from a wheelchair, or, if need be, you can. But it just really provides, and this is what the veterans that have taken the drone training that have become pilots have shared with me. They're like, Lisa, I feel liberated when I'm flying a drone. I feel free. I feel like there's nothing else going on in my world. And so in a way, it's healing for them as well. Just being able to fly a drone. And then as a commercial Part 107, you can actually earn a living, and it could be a part-time gig or maybe a full-time, whatever you can grow your business to be. I don't want to say the sky's the limit and be corny, but I will.
We're corny here on this show. It's okay. Military humor.
I mean, they're using drones and everything, so it really is the sky.
They are.
I mean, agriculture, search and rescue, real estate, events. I mean, if you're making a film, you need a drone shot, at least one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the Part 107.
Awesome. So for those of y'all out there, again, that is on the heroicepisodes.org website. It's already in here. Make sure you go on there, check that out. If you want to get into the commercial piloting program, drone pilot program, reach out to Lisa at arighttoheal.org, and she'll be able to share you that information. But, like you said, a lot of our guys are tech guys coming out of the military, and it's nothing to pick up a control and fly a drone and kind of learn a few things. It should come fairly simple to them. So
they do so well in the exam, Josh. Like I scored probably like a 78 around there. But these guys, these veterans are scoring like 82, 92. They're doing great on the exam. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And women.
Awesome. Well,
please encourage women veterans out there. I would love to see more women getting in and getting their Part 107. So please reach out. We'll get you in the program.
Awesome. Well, we got just about a minute left, Lisa, and I thank you for coming on the show. You shared so much good information tonight. A Right to Heal, the drone program, the Hero series. You're doing so many things out there helping veterans.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you so much for giving opportunities to our veterans to be on the set and on the screen and in the air and everywhere else. And because I think a lot of that, like I said earlier, it's that transition from the service to the civilian life that is a struggle, and ultimately a lot of times leads to that suicide. So by providing these avenues for them, you're giving them that chance to heal in different ways and carry on. So before we end, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to speak your mind and your heart and whatever you want to say to the viewers, the veterans, to anybody out there.
Okay. I just want to say that heroic episodes has the potential to be a TV series that employs veterans and that is the first of its kind. No one's ever done this. I don't know why. I don't care. I'm doing it and I'm going to stay focused on it. And I could sure use some military muscle just to get the word out, and would love to come back once we launch our fundraiser. And maybe I could bring my producer on with me and share with you the fundraiser and just kind of get it out to the military audience. I'm just very grateful for every single man and woman that puts their life on the line for me, for us, for our freedoms. And healing is possible. I never thought I'd be alive and be here, and healing is always possible. And we're here for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. I look forward to working with you in the future. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this week's episode of Full Speed Ahead After Battle. That was our guest, Lisa Regina, actress, producer, drone instructor, or, helping you get that 107 commercial drone pilot license or training, a Right to Heal. She does so many things. Again, feel free to go to her website, heroicepisodes.org, or a Right to Heal. She'll be able to help you out with so many different things. Let's see, coming up next week, we have Beth King, or she likes to go by a crayon eater's wife. She's the wife of a Marine. They have their own show, Smoking and Joking. She'll be on next week talking about what it's like being married to Marine, all the things that he's gone through, her experience from the spousal side of it, which, obviously we need to include our families because they're right there with us through everything. So it'll be interesting to hear from a wife's perspective, especially from a Marine, everything that they did. So we'll be back next Monday, 7 Central live, like we always are. And like I said before, a lot of good things coming up. Make sure you go check out that Facebook page, not only the Full Speed Ahead After Battle Facebook page, but the VFW Texas Suicide Awareness Facebook. That way you can get registered coming up from the 18th to 22nd of December to watch the documentary film, American Sons. And then join us live here on December 22nd for our monthly show right before Christmas, the Christmas episode, if you want to call it. We're going to do a live Q&A with the producer and the Marines and the cast, and whoever else decides to show up from that documentary. The only way to see this ahead of time before it comes out live on January on PBS is right here on Full Speed Ahead, the Q&A, and register for that link in that Facebook page. If you need more information, reach out, but I'll see you next week right here on Full Speed Ahead on MBR, Military Broadcast Radio, giving a voice to the veterans. See you all next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.